after Destiny 2, the next main game that I think Bungie is working on is going to be Marathon. They want that to be their next main flagship thing. Destiny has ran its course, and now Astacross is going to share with us some facts about Marathon, because apparently the sentiment around it is not that great. I don't see how. I feel like a looter shooter right now that's a PvP done with a little bit of PvE, and you get to retain the stuff. If you die, you lose it, you bring it into the next game. I feel like the bare bones of that could actually fucking smack. So why hasn't a game like that actually come out? And that's what a Marathon is supposed to be.
Now, and I wanted us to go over this article, and Zuhad has been listening to it, but this is just a piece pulled from that podcast. Sentiment around Bungie's Marathon, not great, says Jason Schreier. Bloomberg Jason Schreier shares a troubling outlook on Bungie's Marathon, describing this.
If you guys don't know who Jason Schreier is a well-known leaker and reporter, not just in the Bungie scene, but I'm pretty positive he does like COD leaks too, no?
Studio sentiment as not great. Amid recent layoffs and project cancellations, concerns are growing about the game's future. About Marathon's future? The future of Bungie highly anticipated extraction shooter right? Marathon is looking uncertain, according to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier. During the latest episode of Friends Per Second podcast, Schreier, who has broke major stories about Bungie in the past, didn't mince words when asked about the state of Marathon. Okay, so a direct quote from Schreier here. Not great from...
Jason Schreier said that it's not great from what he's heard. When he was asked about the sentiment around Marathon, there's a reason it was planned for this year and slipped a whole year. Oh, no.
What I've heard, Schreier said, when asked about the sentiment around Marathon. No. There's a reason it was planned for this year and slipped a whole year. People that I've talked to are a little pessimistic about it, even hitting its current planned deadline.
Oh,
but we'll see. I don't know exactly when that is. Sometimes in 2025. I'm not sure. Yeah,
so more than likely, we're not going to get Marathon until probably like Black Ops 7 or whatever the next Call of Duty game is going to be.
And I've heard it's not great, at least as of a few months ago. Okay, so he's saying as a few months ago. Look, I do believe that there are some a number of developers working very, very hard on Marathon and who are trying to cook or possibly actively cooking. I will say, at least from my inner circles, last year, at least the folks that got the playtest Marathon, who a lot of them were Tarkov players, weren't that enthusiastic about it. Now, again, that was last year. Schreier saying that the sentiment that he's heard around.
Yeah, but that's Tarkov players. Tarkov is Tarkov. We don't need another Tarkov, right? So, like, if they're pessimistic about it, I'm fine with that. But if we get a Destiny looter shooter that acts as like an extraction shooter that we could bring in the next stuff and act like PvP with PvE elements,
This is not great as a few months ago. Let me just say this, though. This game, Marathon, which I'm going to give it a fair shake. We could honestly do like an entire video on just like some of the controversy around that game. Like everything from it being an extraction shooter to then being spun down to a hero extraction shooter.
Please don't be a hero extraction shooter, for the love of just a straight up, let us create our characters, let it make it personal, let us feel like we're engaged with that character, and then go in and fucking shoot, find some cool shit, get the fuck out, or try to get the fuck out.
To its game director changing from Christopher Barrett to the gentleman there from Valorant. And then not only that, not even disclosing that the game director had changed until months. Like it was like 6-7 months later that news even hit us. And not that news needs to hit us, but you wouldn't be changing directors if things were peachy. There's always a grown man crying how much a game sucks. It's usually bullshit. I'm not going to believe it. Okay, so here's the thing. Whether it's a grown man or child or man, woman, who cares? Whoever it may be that's playing your game, if they think it sucks and then the next person thinks it sucks and the next person believes that person says it sucks, then suddenly the sentiment around that game is that it in fact sucks. And therefore the return on investment from Bungie's perspective and also from Sony's is zip. Good games garner good press because they're good games. I don't think people are just like, I don't believe that the streamers and other players who've gone and played Marathon who had negative things to say about it, what do they get out of that? They don't come out of it taking interviews with Schreier and other people or jump on a YouTube video. They're under NDA lock. Normally this is like in passing conversation. It's like, hey man, what's happening? Oh, you got to play Marathon? Oh yeah. How was it? Oh, dude, I can't tell you much. You know, I'm under NDA. Okay, give me the vibe. How was it? What do you mean, Cross command, people love to hate for him. Okay.
I get what Cross is saying. If I'm NDA'd, I'm going to follow the rules of the NDA, right? I'm not going to tell, like, my friends exactly what I think, because ultimately I need to respect the NDA and CYA. CYA, cover my ass or cover your ass. But I definitely think that Cross is right on this, where it's just like if people are playtesting the game and it was a good game, the sentiment around it would be that it's a good game. But the fact that right now Marathon doesn't have a true, it sounds like, foundation of what it wants to be, whether it be a normal extraction shooter or a hero extraction shooter, it really doesn't know, and it's kind of convoluted. And that's kind of what the vibe that I'm getting from Cross. If you're picking
Marathon
up
is going to be the greatest game on planet Earth, and I can't wait to fucking play it, guys. Whatever Jason Schreier said in that podcast today, whatever skill up in him conversed about, fuck it. Fuck Destiny. All we need is Marathon. I'm super hyped for Marathon. I don't give a fuck what the naysayers say. Who gives a shit? Just a bunch of grown men bitching and moaning about nothing. Nothing. Marathon is the game. Thank you so much. Thank you, chat. Here's the thing. This game could easily be dead on arrival. I don't know if it will be. We got some people in here thinking that we're just being negative for no reason. We're going to have an entire breakdown video on Schreier's comments surrounding, everything he said about Bungie. Adding to the uncertainty, Schreier also revealed that Marathon underwent a significant leadership shakeup in April 2024, with former director Christopher Barrett and the game's executive producer both leaving Bungie. Wait.
I just want to know, how do they let something like this happen? If you have a game in development, how are you losing significant leadership?
Christopher Barrett, like he's officially out? Well, no. Christopher Barrett was still a part of Bungie. He was still, at least to my knowledge, even last year after he was no longer the game director over Marathon, he was still part of Bungie. Following a report from IGN, it's been officially confirmed that Joe Ziegler, the former game director of Valorant, has taken the helm as a new game director for Marathon. Under Ziegler's leadership, the creative direction of the game has reportedly shifted, moving away from custom player characters to a more defined, selectable cast of heroes. Again, it's still an
Yeah, from Valorant for sure.
Action shooter. This article is misleading. Everyone's saying, I don't know what you guys are trying to say. Let me get this right. Some of you saying this article is misleading. We'll go listen to the podcast right now. But how is it misleading? Which part of that article was the misleading portion? Try did not say the future of Marathon is uncertain. Okay.
I was gonna say, what's the temperature check on how Marathon is going?
Okay.
All right.
Not great from what I've heard.
So if it's
there's a reason
great,
that
it's really
was
bad.
planned for this year and
Really
slipped
bad.
a whole year, and people that I've talked to are a little pessimistic about it even hitting its current planned deadline, but we'll see. I don't know exactly when that is, sometime in 2025, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, the sentiment I've heard is not great around it, at least as of a few months ago.
Okay, right. So
That's how I feel. I was like, shit. Okay, so I can't really pry, but I'm kind of picking up that it's a burning ship.
because that was going to be definitely one of my big questions is, have you spoken to anyone that's like, yeah, man, Marathon, wait till you see Marathon. Like, this is it, man. We're ready to go. Like, nothing, no one has said anything close to that.
No, and I'm not sure it's the right bet. Like, it's what, an extraction shooter? Like, so PvP, is there any PvE attached to that? Like, I don't think that that's what a lot of Bungie fans are looking for exactly. So it is kind of a strange bet, at least from my kind of subjective standpoint. The other important thing to know is that Marathon has had a big leadership shakeup. They lost a director a few months ago, got a new director a few months ago, and during this round, their executive producer left the studio as well, so they are going through some changes for sure.
So Marathon's executive producer left during this round of shakeup.
I believe that's. Let me double check the title to make sure that I'm
sure.
And once more, this is he's just a leaker, he's just a reporter, so it's not like everything you have to take. Granted, he has a thorough track record of being true, honest, and I am not trying to throw any shade, but I think even he would agree that whenever you hear leaks or something like this, the next day it could all change. So you have to take something like this with a grain of salt, except for leadership change. Obviously, the leadership change is a huge shakeup. That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, oh, well, I guess, okay, so Carrie Guskus, according to LinkedIn at least, she was executive producer until April, so I guess that was the same time that Chris Barrett, who was the director, left, and then she was senior director of development. But yes, she just left. I guess she wasn't EP, she stopped being EP on Marathon in April. But she did just leave as well. So, yeah, there's a huge leadership shakeup on that team
And normally when you're going to see huge leadership shakeup the year that the game is supposed to launch, it's not a good recipe for success. Not at all.
April. And
Yikes, that is
yeah,
not good.
it's
For anybody who's
it'll-
looking forward
I
to
guess
marathon,
We'll see what happens
like
there.
myself,
It's
this is
it's
not
a
good news.
and you have your perspective on it
is
as well.
honestly even
Speaking
worse than
as
the
someone who plays Destiny and obviously talks to a lot of Destiny people, there's not a lot of excitement for Marathon like within the Destiny community. Like,
yeah,
let's,
but is that
There's
just
no excitement.
yeah, is that just because they're fucking Destiny fans and they just want to love Destiny and they hate that the story of Destiny is coming to an end and they're gonna have to pick up a new story to unfold? I mean, this isn't One Piece. I mean, it's damn near One Piece, but it ain't. It's just one. It's Destiny, and the final shape is pretty much the conclusion. This next series of batches that they're gonna get, enjoy the lore, enjoy everything. You know, all good things must come to an end, and I think Marathon hopefully is the new beginnings.
You fuckers, y'all hate that game. And look, I get what your mindset on it, because you're like, Marathon is taking away resources from
am I
Destiny.
saying?
Like, it's negative excitement. It's fucking it's gone the other way. I would say there is a good portion of Destiny players
That
wanting
resent
the
it.
downfall of Marathon.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
gonna give
like,
it a
"We
fair
want
shake,
that
but
game
I'm
to
just
fucking
saying.
fail."
That's
I
not
want
what
this game to
we're
win.
about at this point.
I don't want
Like,
devs
ultimately,
who
Destiny
work
is
their
right
ass
now a
off, who put
PvE
their
game.
blood, sweat,
It
and
has
tears
this
into
very
for it to
awkward
fucking fail.
PvP thing bolted
I
onto
also
it
think the
that has
concept of it
essentially
could be fucking
decayed
lit.
over the years because Bungie have not invested in it.
Oh, what's up,
so
Manicadabra?
Bungie's fandom right now is a PvE audience, and they're also older, which is something else that came out in the reporting, that the audience who plays Destiny is older. Older PvE focused
calling me
players
old?
are not interested in an extraction shooter. Like, that's just not it. So Bungie really are trying to build an entirely new audience
I
here,
think
and it
that-
seems like
that
they're trying to
is
do
the
it with this
misleading thing.
massive investment,
'Cause I think the
hundreds of
idea
people,
of an
hundreds of millions of
extraction
dollars
shooter
spent, it
is not
seems.
just
Whereas it
go
would have
in and
been
get out.
far smarter for them to make
There
this a
could be way
smaller
more
bet and
attached
just sort
to
of
it.
seed it into the community and build it up over time and prototype it over. It's just, this seems crazy to me, and I'm crossing my fingers that this is great, because it just seems so risky. You know what I mean? And I would. Is there any sense of what would happen? Any discussion about what would happen if Marathon didn't pop off? Did anything pop up in those discussions?
I don't want to speculate. Definitely have that conversation with people, but it would be irresponsible for me to be like, well,
Fair
Bungie's
enough,
going to
fair
shut down if that doesn't happen. The one thing I will say though is that this is going to lead to some exclamation points, and if we were streaming right now, there would be some funny faces in chat. But I will say the Marathon story kind of reminds me of
talking about
Suicide
emojis?
Squad, and the reason for that is because
no.
Suicide Squad started development in 2017
Oh,
when
no.
live service was the hot new thing, and because of sunk cost fallacy and
Is he comparing Marathon to Suicide Squad from Ubisoft? Because if so, that game's already dead. That might have just deflated so much hope for her. I feel deflated just hearing what I just heard.
because of endless delays and because there wasn't really an interest or willingness in canceling it because they had committed so much money to it, and there was just a belief that like, all right, we want to get this out, it's going to be cool. It came out and just totally flopped, and I'm worried about Marathon being in a similar situation where it's been in development for a while. It entered development when extraction shooters were super hot. I don't know if that's the case anymore, and now because they've committed so much money and because it was the project that was furthest along as opposed to all their other incubation bets, they are really putting a lot into it, and I'm just not sure there's much of a chance that it will be successful. But then again, you never know. Like, if you had asked me in January, like, I would have been like, yeah, Helldivers 2, that game is gonna tank so friggin' hard. It looks like a disaster. And of course,
it didn't look good.
turned out to be the biggest thing ever. So that's why I like to report and not so much to make prognostications. But
that's
still,
fair. Sure.
it
That's
doesn't
nice.
like
That's
give me
nice
the
to
best
hear- that's nice to
vibes when I hear about that. Although I did have, to your point, Ralph, this is my aged Destiny fan speaking, but I did have lots of good times with Trials of Osiris back in the day.
Sure.
Okay, let me just say this. You guys just busted my balls for reading this article. Y'all were like, no, you're missing context. What Jason Schreier said about Marathon wasn't
think-
that bad.
I don't think
Go
it
watch
made it-
the
I think it made
podcast.
it worse.
I just walked away from that podcast feeling worse than how I felt just
Thank
reading this
God.
article.
Thank
Just
God
reading
I'm
this
not the only
article
one.
made me go, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Yeah.
But the fact
Yeah.
that he said the words, hey, it reminds me of Suicide Squad, I
Totally.
now feel substantially worse about the future of Marathon than I did 25 minutes ago. We'll be doing.
Yeah, no, he said the thing. I agree because he said what I said before he said it. I said it, and then he agreed with what I said. Yeah, no, I wish I just read that art or just we listened to the article and we moved on because the comparison to Marathon to Suicide Squad, yeah, nah, it's just that literally deflated my bubble. I am no longer excited. I was holding hope, but now hope is gone.